MH3 here, back for another edition of the Convenor podcast. And for those of you who don't know who MH3 is, I'm MH3, better known as Mark Harrison legally. Not actually the day I was born, but that's an entirely different conversation. Anybody out there who's adopted, you'll know what I'm talking about. Today, I'm here with my doppelganger in outfit only. We got the all black outfits, but one of us is good looking and happy and smiley and funny, and the other one is me. So, Demore.
And with that,
good day to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm very happy to be here.
You look good.
Thank you. Thank you. And you look fantastic. Come on now.
I'm doing the best I can.
You're doing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You're succeeding.
We clearly did not have the dress code, like memo.
Zero
text.
memo.
Yeah.
Zero text.
In fact, it's kind of funny because we first started exchanging messages earlier today before 7 a.m., but somehow we covered everything in the world except our clothing. But today I really want to talk about this concept, and you might have a better term for it than me, of coaching. I don't know if it's a concept or a strategy, or I know it's a profession. I know it's an essential need for a lot of folks. But I kind of want people to get to know you, because we're going to talk about you and your career and really dive deep today into coaching. Take us to a moment, could be today, could be a year ago, could be decades ago, where you were coached, and what were you coached on, and what did they tell you? Did you want to hear what they had to say or not hear what they had to say? But I'd really love for you to just give us your autobiography through the lens of being coached.
Yeah, so the first instance that comes to mind is a recent one where I was being coached by a friend and a colleague, and it was somewhat of a more vulnerable dynamic and situation where she was, where we would say, sort of we being, let's say, regular civilians, non-coaches, we'd say that we were being called out. I'd say that it was a scenario and situation where she was calling me up and forward. And really at the heart of coaching, that is what we do. We call people up and forward, although it may feel like we're calling them out. And so I don't remember the specific details of what she was calling me up and forward into, yet it was, as we say, in the coaching work we do at Novus Global, it was really centering on feedback, the giving and receiving of feedback. So she was giving it and I was receiving it. I chose to receive it. And I remember at a particular point in time, her saying to me, and there was some emotion even just in her throat, in her voice. It was a significant moment for me because that vulnerability, that emotion, to me, it communicated what we also call fierce advocacy.
Okay.
Where this wasn't about her being right. It was about her serving me and serving me powerfully in terms of who I profess that I want to be and how I want to show up in the world, and a gap that she believed that she saw in terms of where I was showing up relative to where I said I wanted to be and where I was committed to being. And so at that point, when the emotion bubbled up in her throat, she just said, you are, and I feel like emotion, like we're already crying. You Barbara Walters? What's going on here?
Wow.
Barbara Walters was shaved head.
That's probably not the first time. No, it is actually the first time I've ever been called Barbara Walters. I don't even need to do the research. Sorry, Claude, you don't have to work for me today. Done the research, no AI required. Go ahead, Demore. Barbara wants to hear more, as do my fans.
She just said, you are strong as fuck, and I am holding you to that standard. I'm holding you to that bar. That's what I'm calling you up and into and forward into. And that resonated and it resounded with me because even though she was providing this feedback, she was putting her finger on some spaces and places that I was avoiding and also unaware of, how I was getting in my own way. There is just something that really powerful in that dynamic where she was holding space for me, for us, for me to not only put my finger on those points of awareness, but to choose if I wanted to change, if I wanted to level up, if I wanted to step up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But what predicated this? this moment of the coach being coached?
Um,
Like, what do you think drove her to that? Like, not to break confidentiality, just maybe give us a sense of, because I think what's interesting here, because we're going to talk about coaching, but I love how the fact that you dived into being coached in what sounds like, as you said, a vulnerable moment. And I also like this notion of you being called up. But was this like, had this been something that had been going on for a while? Or was it just a moment where she's like, you know what? He's a 10, he's an 11, but you're acting like a 6.
Yeah, it had been going on. As I recall, it had been going on for some time. There were patterns that she identified, and this was in part not only her giving feedback, but it was also her testing what she was perceiving, testing the data.
Yeah.
And so there was and is a way in which the coaching work that we do, it centers on what we call, we've heard this word before, vision.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're thinking of it, we think of vision, we immediately go to like a 50,000 foot view of it.
Grandeur.
Exactly. But if we're thinking closer to the ground of what vision is, we define it as a picture of the future that produces passion. In the context of people, like where we talk about, like that's what we're talking about. It's one of the pillars in which you're building your podcast. We're talking about people. It's about connection. It's about vulnerability. It's about authenticity. It's about communication. It's about so very many things. And yet in this coaching dynamic with this coach, Rosie Tomyuk, phenomenal coach, outstanding human. She and I together had clarified what my vision was. And because we had that North Star, because we had that clarified point in the sky on the horizon, that I put myself on the hook to say that, hey, I'm committed to creating that result. I'm committed to showing up in this way, in this way, in this way. It opened up an opportunity for her as my coach to say, hey, I don't see you showing up that way.
Right.
Like you're missing your mark. You're not missing my mark. So this isn't about moralizing or I don't need to shame out. I could if I wanted to. I don't need to feel guilty.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, that's where you're aiming for.
Right.
And I'm coming shoulder to shoulder here with you, Demore, holding you as strong to say that you aren't playing up to that. Tell me where I'm wrong. Was really her posture.
Right. Like it's your scoreboard, not hers.
It's your scoreboard, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a way in which I was getting in my own way.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it.
I love that.
And so at the heart of coaching, that's what it's about. It's about coming alongside, not in a hierarchical way.
Right.
It's coming alongside other leaders, because we're all leaders, coming aside other leaders to support them in identifying how are you getting in your own way and how are you getting in your team's way.
I'm probably going to ask you this 3 times. Can
Let's
you
go.
repeat that definition for me of vision? Because I love it.
Vision, a picture of the future that produces passion.
Passion for me.
Passion for you. If
you were coaching me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Wow,
your
I love
picture, and
I love that.
I think of it like for those who are listening, there's so many metaphors and ways that we could approach this, but like when we think of a picture of the future that produces passion, it's like, what is that picture? And we've all had at some point that experience growing up and maybe even currently where you have that 1,000-piece puzzle. You have the box and it says how many pieces are inside of it.
Right.
And
mine are usually about 20. 36. I kind of like my puzzles like my eggs.
Short and small and manageable.
Yeah. The Mennonite tray, 36, regular's 12.
There you go.
Right. Those are my puzzles.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Easy
No pun
peasy.
intended.
Yeah. Just 15 minutes to finish those puzzles.
Yeah.
But invariably what we're doing in the coaching process as we're clarifying what the vision is, it's like, what is the top of that puzzle box that just thrills you and excites you?
Right.
That you feel compelled by. And then we set about the work of actually creating that result that does not yet exist within the world.
That's exciting.
Every changemaker has a vision for something better. But turning that vision into action takes clarity, strategy, and the right story. This episode of The Convenor is sponsored by Humanity, a marketing leadership partner built for purpose-driven organizations. We help changemakers bring clarity to their vision, confidence to their message, and momentum to the change they're here to create. Learn more at humanityagency.com.
I love the fact that you answered this question with like an incredibly recent example. Do you remember early coaches in your life, whether they were capital C coaches or lower C coaches, and that have impacted from then to you getting this chair today?
Yeah, I think of my coach mentors, David Darst and Cynthia Lloyd Darst. They were my trainers when I began my coaching journey now 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
They are juggernauts and heavyweights within their own right. Their reputation precedes them within the coaching world. They were doing coaching before anyone really knew what personal or life coaching was. Trailblazers, and they both, in their own way, illuminated for me. They showed me that there's a way in which noticing there's a theme here. There's a way in which I tend to underestimate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And what they put their fingers on was that I have a natural talent and ability as it pertains to intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sense of seeing, a sense of knowing. It's something that I hold lightly. Otherwise, it can feel like a blunt force instrument when using it with someone, because it's really like, hey, I don't know this to be right, but I'm getting the sense of ABC, 1, 2, 3. My success.
Like, do you find you literally have to turn the volume down on that sense that it distracts you? Like if you're meeting somebody for the first time or having a lunch and you're like, I'm actually going to park my superpower for a while and just going to enjoy the salad.
Yeah, because invariably, if I don't, what I learned it the hard way, is that a sense of knowing someone or seeing someone. Not everyone is ready to be seen and be known by someone, especially when they just sit down to a salad for the first time.
Oh, don't worry. I'm thinking about canceling our next lunch already. I'm literally like, can I flip my phone over without them noticing?
Probably not.
Decline. Great meeting you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So there's a way in which there's an honor and a dignity and a respect to just in some ways dialing that down and just being with the person in front of you at it sounds maybe a bit strange, but even just at a superficial level.
Yeah.
And just letting that naturally unfold and unfurl.
Right. But as you said, the other side of this is this theme about underestimating yourself. So how did they approach that with you? How did they identify that to you, and how did they make it something that clearly you accepted because you're singing their praises? I mean, I love that word, juggernauts.
Yes. There's something about being in the presence of those who are great, who are elite, who are better than you, and at least that's how I've always related to things. It is how I relate to things in the other sandbox I play within Hollywood as an actor, and it's not dissimilar within the coaching world. I've always sought to place myself in scenarios and situations around people who are better than me. I've never had any problems not being, let's say, the best in any dynamic or situation. I identified very early on in my life that those contacts actually provided me the opportunity to grow, to flourish, to learn things that, for better or for worse, I didn't get from Pauline and Harry Barnes, immigrants from Jamaica.
Right.
It's like, so how do I level up?
Yeah.
I love what they're doing. How do they do it? How do they relate to it? How do they respond to failure? How do they interact with other people? is it this, or is it this? You know, because I was an athlete growing up as well. I still am.
Yeah, I can
myself.
tell. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'll get an autograph later, right before I cancel lunch.
but in terms of David and Cynthia as the examples, there was an authority that they had and continue to have within the industry, even as coach trainers, that I was able to identify. And so in terms of a point of influence, whether we realize it or not, those who either have authority positionally or who we grant authority to, they have a profound amount of influence. I'd say a disproportionately high amount of influence than those who have lower authority. And so on a certain level, I'd say even on a simple level, it was like they're phenomenal at what they do. And so I trust what they see, even if I don't yet see it in myself. So there's an invitation for me to become who they're seeing and who they're holding this space, saying, hey, you're there, and yet we're holding this space that is beyond the space that you're holding for yourself.
You can get to another.
Yeah. Step into it, you know?
It's funny because you use the word better, which I find is a bit of a competitive word.
It is, yeah.
And
great listening.
It's your word, and not to challenge you on this, but
let's go.
I don't think you're seeing it as a competitive, more of an aspirational. Like these people perform at a benchmark or a standard that I want to get to. So it's not better like win-loss, speaking of athletics. It's more, I'm going to associate myself with people because this person's really good at X, Y, Z, and I want to learn from them. As opposed to sometimes when people use the word better, like, they're better than me. Like somebody got a better grade, somebody runs better, like somebody's got a better house.
Yes.
But is better really the word that you mean, or is it like they're the standard bearers, or are there people that you aspire? Is it a competitive version of better, I guess is my question, or is it a journey?
That's a great question. I love that question. It wasn't in the briefing. That's fantastic.
No, it was not.
It was so good.
Yeah.
It's like, I like that.
Yeah.
It got me thinking. And you shed light on not only my mindset, but really the mindset that's common to us as humans, in that we tend to relate and compare ourselves to others from a performance standpoint. And when we talk about better in the coaching world, like, it is comparative. It is, in order for me to be the best, that means you have to be less than me. It just that's just how it works. And yet at the same time, in the coaching work that we do, your question, what it illuminates is that there is a natural default and way of relating to others that is based on performance, that is based on, I am higher, you are lower, I am the best, therefore you are all below me, or you are all the losers or the worst, or whatever you want to appropriate to it. But in the coaching work that we do, what we're exploring is not your performance in the sense of being a high performer, because I specialize meeting with high performers. I meet them at the mountaintop. My colleagues at Novus Global, we meet them at the peak, where at a glance, well, what else can I do? I have the house that I want. I have the car that I want. I have the spouse that I want. The number of children that I want. I go anywhere I want. I buy anything I want. And yet there's something that seems to be lacking within my experience of life, of work. And that's usually where what we call sort of the crisis, or maybe the midlife crisis happens. Because it doesn't satisfy to the extent that an individual thought it would in their 20, 30, 40-year pursuit. They finally get there, and they're just like, is this it? And so when we talk about better, that's at the tip of the mountain. The word that's actually more resourceful is, let's say, the question that is most resourceful is, what am I capable of? So when we're looking through the lens of what we're capable of, it's no longer looking to the left and looking to the right and trying to surpass the individuals, on either side of us. It is about looking within and getting a clear sense of, hey, what is that point on the horizon? Like we talked about, a few minutes ago. What is that point on the horizon? What is my North Star? What is my vision, that picture of the future that produces passion for me? And what am I capable of as it relates to that?
Right.
You know, so it's
I love that.
it's a great question, you know, that you've opened up there.
So I'm going to try to tie it back to the brief and get back on questions, because literally I'm stuck on number one, and that's my fault, not yours, because you're giving me great answers.
Yeah.
But when you think about that client, and obviously, you know, we're going to speak very broadly because this is a highly sensitive business that you're in. So think about that person, that man or woman who you first meet, and they're on whatever they believe is the top.
Yes.
What's the process to take them through the transformation to pursuing that new vision? What is, you know, maybe give us some inside baseball as you experience that with people. You know, John shows up at your door. They probably have some friction in their life. Like somehow they got to you. So I'd love to know why they're there. Why did they knock on the door?
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, they probably have a preconceived notion of, I want to get to here. And maybe together you created this new vision. But I'd also curious to know like how that process works. And do you sometimes pass that vision? Do you change the vision? Walk us through it, if you will. And I appreciate we're going to use kind of, you know, you've appeared in fictional movies and TV. So
Yeah.
let's play let's put a character in there.
Yeah.
And cast somebody as Demore's client.
Yeah.
Central casting, we need you.
Yeah. No, we do need you. That's a juicy question.
Yeah, it's multiple questions. I apologize.
Yeah, no. It is multifaceted. But if I give myself permission to kind of play jazz, and I'll kind of improv into it. When a leader shows up, the reason they show up is almost without exception because of some friction. You mentioned the word friction. It's something that they are frustrated about, they're avoiding, they're complaining, they are tolerating, or that they're feeling scared and they don't want to feel those things, yet they're aware of them. And so they are seeking a means to resolve for that emotion that they don't want to be feeling. And so invariably what happens is that when a leader shows up in that space or in any of those respective places, they think the end point is no longer feeling that. How do I resolve that?
Right.
Through my lens as a coach, that's just the starting point.
Okay.
And it's really exciting because each of those, for instance, they are, let's think of them metaphorically as doorways to vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm frustrated about my sister not unloading the dishwasher after Thanksgiving dinner and we're cleaning up my parents' home, if I'm frustrated about that and I'm carrying the frustration, really we could say that the frustration is a doorway to a vision. Well, you might say like, well, how is that a doorway to the vision? And it's like, well, I'm frustrated because she hasn't unloaded the dishwasher. So the vision is that the dishwasher would be unloaded.
Right. Yeah.
Like if we're just being really rudimentary here.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what is required? Well, what's required is just to become clear on not only the frustration, but then, well, what is the vision? What's the picture of the future that produces passion? And that is that like, hey, like I'm doing all of this stuff like in the dining room and elsewhere in the house. And so there's a conversation that maybe needs to happen with my older sis, and say like, hey, we have to have this conversation, maybe come to agreement. And she makes a commitment to like, oh yeah, okay, I got it. Or no, I don't got it. But it lives in that land where at the beginning of the coaching relationship, those are just doorways into a much, much larger and robust conversation, not only about that thing, but about so many other things. And so
is that excuse me, serious question here. Well, actually, no, an important question before that. Do you let strangers load your dishwasher in your house? This is a psychological test. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We're going to
come back to that. Roll credits. Is it because do humans, and I don't know this, you do, you're the this is your life, but like, do we end up saying our problem is one thing when really there's multiple things, but we just find the thing that's easiest to describe our pain? Is that what, like, do humans default to this is my problem, but when you meet them, like, no, you don't even know what your problem is, but this is the thing that's causing you maybe the most pain or the easiest to articulate? Or am I making that up?
I'd say the simple answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we as humans, myself included, our natural default is to what is comfortable and what is familiar, what is known.
Right.
And that includes our troubleshooting. Let's call it troubleshooting. I don't even like that word, but problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to apply to any given situation based on what has worked before. And what has worked before may not and often does not work effectively or resourcefully now. That notion of what got you here isn't going to get you there.
Right.
And so we're not just talking aspirational, or we're not talking about achieving outcomes or objectives. It's also about who are you now,
Mm-hmm.
and who do you need to become to accomplish whatever it is that you've set about doing, whether it's unloading the dishwasher or 10xing your revenue, or we're talking EBITDA, we're talking, whatever it may be. And so that in and of itself is a limitation. It's a natural limitation, and I call it a gravitational pull that we all have to oversimplify and to believe that we are right. And so I believe one of the more exciting things that I experience when working with a leader is a leader who is able to identify when their hand is closed versus open to ideas, concepts, ideas, mindset, strategy, or open. So open and closed. And so when I say that, there's a way in which when a leader has a posture that is fixed on being right, I'm right about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right about what the challenge is. I'm right about what the solutions are. I'm right about everyone else's role within it.
All right.
How might that be getting in that leader's way?
Mm-hmm.
How might that be getting in their team's way? How might that be getting in the way of the organization to achieving that point on the horizon, the picture of the future that produces passion, not only for the organization, but also for the individuals within that organization itself? And so it's exciting when a leader is able to identify that when they are being closed-handed. Even when we're coaching together, and they're able to go, oh, okay, well, what if I'm wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's one of the most profound and powerful questions that any leader can ask themselves. What if I'm wrong?
What happens if a client never gets there? They never say, what if I'm wrong?
What happens?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens is that they don't create the result that they're committed to creating.
Right.
They say they're committed to. They said they're committed to creating it.
Yeah.
And yet, if they're not open to that within themselves, they'll never realize that or achieve that. And which is even as I say that, there's a sadness to it.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes in those situations, it's not often that happens, but oftentimes when it does happen, there is what I call like an outsourcing of ownership. Because oftentimes a leader, when they fall into that posture, there's a lot of this going on.
Right.
And not a lot of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pointing at themselves, putting themselves on the hook.
So that client's in front of you. They're complaining about the dishwasher. They've asked you my weird psychological test. You're still thinking that through, by the way. And you get down this path of discovery. So now there's many doorways, there's many hallways. I love that analogy, by the way, because I talk often about in my own personal life being adopted and thinking about the judge sent me down one hallway, could have been down another, right?
Yeah.
How do you then help me, the client, choose which hallway, which doorway, which path, and equate that from where they are stuck, hallways, options to the vision?
Yeah. Yeah. The exciting thing about, great question. The exciting thing about vision is that when it's clarified, when it's aligned to oneself, when it's really thrilling, when it's exciting,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to say when it's perceived as even being impossible, but yet it's still all of those things.
Yeah.
That's what we want. As it relates to the metaphor of the many rooms and hallways within a home, sort of the choices, the decisions that
Right.
you as a leader or whoever it is that I'm working with is facing. When they have a clarified vision, it's not a matter of which doorway or which hallway is right.
Okay.
It's not about right or wrong. The reframe, and I like to say the empowered and resourceful reframe is which option is most resourceful and in service of the vision.
Got it.
That's the great clarifier, because it's like you got 10 options and it's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, option 6 is clearly going to make that one sing. That is clearly going to close the gap from where we sit currently to creating that result in the by when that you said you're committed to creating it. So then that's the choice.
Nice.
Or a combination of a few of them.
What's the difference in coaching individuals, say, versus teams and groups?
Ooh, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Coaching individuals is very personal.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, I don't even normally speak this way, but like there's a sacred quality to it.
Yeah.
Like it's you and me, it's me and you. And the nuance is much more confined to the individual.
Mm-hmm.
It always involves other stakeholders, especially if the vision is really compelling and exciting and let's say impossible or kind of outside the realm of what they believe, they think is possible. But then when you're dealing with a team, you're dealing with multiple individuals,
Right.
who may not at a given point in time be aligned on that vision or that thing or the way in which to execute or create that result or create that objective or that outcome. And so there is when working with a team, the nature of the jazz is different as a coach.
Okay.
Because I am, my colleagues are, you got to read the room.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're reading the room in aggregate of all the individuals that are in the room, and the decisions that are being made often in a moment-to-moment basis. It's being measured and compared against what is the vision for, let's say, the training of the room.
Right.
Which is different than you and I, me either showing up at your office or working with you virtually, which is 99% of the way that I work with my leaders.
Typically, how big a group are we talking about? You think about that.
Yeah, it varies.
Yeah.
It varies. Like typically we're talking like 50.
Wow.
50. It could be.
So how many coaches are there? Because it couldn't be 1 to 50.
Yeah, no, we travel in packs.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we travel in packs.
At night? Like
Yeah,
full moon? Or
Well,
what are we
usually at
talking?
night to get there.
Okay,
and
just wanna
then
know where-
we wake up and then we prepare.
All right.
We have our team meetings
All right.
and stuff. Or first thing in the morning over
Yeah.
coffee.
But to train and to work with a group of 50, how many coaches are we needing?
We're wanting like at least 4.
Yeah.
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 We're wanting like 2,
Yeah.
like say like what we call 2 primary or lead coaches,
Yep.
and then 2 support coaches.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could be 100. It could
Yeah.
be 200.
Right.
People. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of having the team that's capable and aligned to what the vision of the organization is in order to serve them effectively. Because not every room of, say, 100 leaders, obviously they don't all want the same thing. Certainly from an organizational standpoint, the outcome or the vision are all going to be different in some nuance of way.
You're in a room with 50 leaders. There's 4 of you, and you're not the prime. You're a support. So I'm in this room and I see you leaning against the wall. Your intuition radar, what's it at between 1 to 10? You're standing there observing.
Well, that's the thing. It's
Have you shut it off? Is it on high?
well, that's where my mind goes when you ask that question, because we say in the coaching work that maximum value equals full participation.
Yeah.
And so in order to achieve or create maximum value, I need to be in full participation.
Right.
And I can either choose to be or I can choose not to be. So if I'm leaning against the wall, the question is how engaged am I, and how committed am I to being engaged? And then what does that look like?
Yeah.
How does my team know that I'm engaged?
Yeah.
How do they know when I'm not engaged?
Yeah.
But ideally, I want to be at a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Where don't think because I'm at the back of the room and I'm silent that I'm not actually holding the room.
Oh no, it's still an important role.
Servicing the room, and the vision of the organization.
Like I assume somebody's got to be providing a second set of eyes on reading the room when you're going through this process. Right?
Absolutely. And so invariably as it goes, we'll have our debrief after, say, morning session or sort of mid-morning. And those are the times where, let's say if I am playing a supporting role where I can, ride up beside one of our lead trainers and say, hey, I don't think we have a part of the room. Right. And by have them, I don't think they're aligned. Yeah. They're not connecting with what we're throwing down. Right. Okay, what's the data? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you noticing? And it's that level of
and similarly, when you're the lead, I assume you want that from the support.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Tug on your sleeves and
other eyes. Yeah. Other eyes, because then adjustments can be made in the break to close that gap. Yeah. Because certainly it's the vision of the primary client, of the person that's brought us in. It's their vision that everyone be running in step with each other. So if 12 of the 50 are like, I don't get that, or, but and we love pushback, because that's actually going to serve not only the individual, but it's going to serve the room. Right. Because someone can be in, but there's degrees of in within a room of 50. You might say of the balance of that 12, if each individual were to take stock, they might say like, hey, like, I'm like 75% in. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm 82. I'm 91. I'm 100. I love this. It doesn't get any better than this, right? But all of those gaps in aggregate, that's what we want to speak to. Mm-hmm. That's part of the art form. And
are you focused on, this isn't the right expression, but I'll use it anyway, the lowest common denominator? So the person who's at 72, we've got 28% to move you. Are you focused on them, or are you focused on the average? Like once you get that read, do you modify where you lean in, like to try to, like, we need this tree to get more participatory? Or do you just stay the course?
That's a great question. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's, leave no one behind. Yeah. Okay. Yet at the same time, I think what your question highlights is that our prime directive when serving a team is that the primary client is clicking their heels because they're thrilled, they're excited with the result that's being created, given the vision that they've communicated to us. And so your question highlights to me, as I'm thinking in this moment, your question highlights to me where communication then becomes really important. Yeah. Because that might be something that we would mention to the primary client. Right. Because we have kind of a breakout, maybe at lunchtime, we'd say like, hey, what do you want to see more of? Right. Oh, this, you know, what are you loving? Oh, I love this. And then we might say, hey, do you mind if we share some notices with you? Right. We notice, it seems, we're not saying we're not committed to being right about this, but we notice with John and Frank and Jane, they don't seem to be as engaged have you noticed, how do they occur to you?
Right.
And invariably, we'll get some feedback.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, no. They got some deliverables and they're distracted, but like
Right.
they're our stars. So
Yeah, okay.
don't worry about them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or, yeah.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Wondered if you guys would
Yeah.
notice that. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we picked up on it. And then it becomes an opportunity
Sure.
to lean in a way that the primary client and us together co-design and co-create. It's like, hey, how do we close that gap
Right.
if that's something that the primary client wants us to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we take a step back and think about the person or individual that's out there that maybe has an aversion to coaching. And if you met them over salad or at a dinner party or, kids' sports event and you're just having a chat, without pitching them, what would you say to them about why coaching as a profession, not necessarily you or your company, but just could help them deal with that unemptied dishwasher or other things? What are people missing who are like, I'm not in this coaching thing, but then they spend the next 10 minutes complaining to you about their life?
Yeah, it's interesting. I love that question because I think as a coach, I think the trap would be to selling coaching.
Yeah.
To me, it's not about selling coaching.
No. Okay.
To me, it's about connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's about authenticity. It's about advocacy. It's about so very many things. And so I've had numerous conversations with individuals who sound like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And invariably what happens is, as we continue on in the conversation, lo and behold, what often happens in the conversation, it's I'm not coaching them.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at the same time, there's it's a coaching conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
They are making discoveries. They are putting their hands on insights that they themselves are saying like, oh, I never thought of that. It's just asking questions.
Right.
Like at the heart of coaching, it's about loving another individual. It's about serving them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, they're like, I don't know about coaching. It's like, okay, great. How do you feel about being listened to?
Right.
People being curious about your life,
Yeah.
Feeling a sense that someone's really advocating for you, someone who brings some insight and expertise
They're like,
into
sign
how
me
you,
up
how
and
you
sell
might
me
be
the
getting away.
t-shirt.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Okay, that's good. It's good to know because what you highlight, Mark, is not something that is foreign to any of us, which is there are ways in which we choose to relate to everything in a way that we choose to relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you relate to an iPhone?
Mm-hmm.
It depends. Like it depends on how you relate to an iPhone, how you relate to Android, how you relate to, those are chosen ways of relating to things. And so sometimes individuals will have a committed stance on how they relate to coaching.
Right.
Even just without thinking about it, it's like, no to coaching, it's, and in that it's their ideas, it's their story. It's a story, not as a pejorative. It's their story about what coaching represents.
Right.
Perhaps not what it actually is.
Got it. Do you ever have situations where, I'm making this up, but like a CEO brings along a senior VP and says, hey, Mark, you're going to go meet with Demore for the next 6 months and you're going to be coached. And I come in with sitting on my hands and I'm giving you my hairy eyebrows and I've got a pretty good scowl. I don't know if you know that. Does that ever happen? Or do most of the people that come to you, they're in sufficient pain or sufficient malaise that they're putting their hand up? They don't know what it is they need solving, but they're ready to get it solved.
Yeah, they come in those varieties and
all shapes and sizes,
all other shapes and sizes, and those situations do happen at times. I would say they usually happen where there is not adequate communication with the primary client prior to that.
Yeah.
Because if we get to a situation where someone is sitting on their hands and giving hairy eyebrows and we're in a coaching relationship with them. And it's not to say that we're not experienced on how to serve that individual as well. But the term priming comes to mind.
Okay. Interesting.
And so if we were working with your organization, it's like, okay, what are the conversations that need to happen with Mark Harrison prior to us even beginning to engage with
Laying
this
the
team?
right foundation.
Laying the right foundation with Mark,
Right.
so that Mark can be well served in laying the foundation for his team.
Got it.
So that there's a higher level of engagement and enrollment, and certainly a higher likelihood of that. So we often get way ahead of that, and do not often find ourselves in situations where we're dealing with hairy eyebrows and hands being sat on. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Notice I'm very conscious of my hands at this point. Like, where did I put them again? They're somewhere. I'm going to go completely off script for the last question.
Let's go.
I think we've probably been about 86% off script, but it's been marvelous because I could just sit here and listen to you all day long. But you started this by talking about being very recently that you were being coached by a colleague, and that colleague was pulling you up and ensuring that you were going to live to your scorecard.
Yeah.
So at the risk of sounding like a coach,
Let's go.
in a positive way,
Yeah.
if I had you back in 3 months or 6 months, what would you have been doing to act on that coaching moment? I'd like let's go to 2.0. This is the second chapter.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what you're going to do and take with that, because as you mentioned, it was a bit of a pattern. It's also very interesting to me because I always find it amazing. I don't like the term imposter syndrome, but I always find it amazing when you meet somebody who's fun and lively and we just connect without having to make stuff up. And then I hear you talk about, selling yourself short all the time, which is kind of weird for me because we know each other and I kind of don't really get that. But it's interesting because these people that are so important in your life, that's their thing with you, is like, you're here, you could be here. So what's going to happen over the next, like, where are you going to take that advice to?
Yeah. That's a great question.
And completely off script.
It's completely off script, and that's fine. We've been playing, like you said, we've been playing jazz the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking through the lens of what might be in best service to your listeners, and how best to more resourcefully answer the question.
And I would say this as encouragement. I think sometimes when we are stuck, and I think this is the heart of coaching, hearing somebody give us like how they're tackling things. Sometimes I always like to say to people when I'm presenting, this is a structure I use. I'm not asking you just my structure. I'm asking you what's your structure? Like, do you have a structure? Do you have a path? And I think that for people listening, because this is what you do, and now you're coaching yourself, which is, it's that whole doctor heal thyself stuff.
Yeah.
I think that understanding how you would tackle it is a great guide for people. They don't necessarily have to tackle their own things, but I think it's just interesting to hear, if you don't mind, I just kind of want to open the hood on your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that like an inline 6 in there, or a V8, or are you fully electric?
You're about to see.
All right.
Yeah. And so going back to the scenario with Rosie, being coached by her.
Yeah. Who I've met.
Yes. Who you've met.
Yeah. So I can actually, I was visualizing it.
Yeah.
It was
I realized
fun.
as she came to mind, I was like, oh, Rosie.
Yeah.
Let's say in that scenario, if I were to self-report on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest in terms of how I was showing up.
Yeah.
She called me up and forward. Let's say I would self-report at a 4.
Wow.
Let's say.
Okay.
And so
you are a tough coach on yourself.
I would say then, if that's true, that would actually give me the opportunity for growth, because depending on how I relate to that, I could shame out and get really small and reduce even more, or I could say like, hey, is this the sober and clear and authentic number? And and let's say I say yes, it is.
Yeah.
Your question is like, okay, well then where do I go from there?
Mm-hmm.
She's calling me into up and forward into a greater expression of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really airy fairy. Like, well, if just saying, hey, we're just up and forward and into, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go do that. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. If I'm at a 4 and then she might say, okay, well, what do you want the number to be at? And I might say, okay, I want it to be a 10, but let's say I want it to be a 9.
Okay.
So then she might say, again, I'm just improving here because there's so many different ways that she could approach this, or we can approach,
I love it.
Any sort of coaching situation or opportunity.
Yeah. It's a one-man stage production. You're playing all the cast.
Yeah. And you're almost literally playing jazz.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So she might say, okay, D, you want to be a 9, you're at a 4. So that's the gap. And she might say, think of a time where you were showing up as a 9. Can you get a time? And I have tons of those times. It's usually what people see.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's on my highlight reel.
Yeah.
Our 9s are all on it. That's all of your highlight reels.
You're 9ing right now.
Just 9ing. You're 9ing right now.
Yeah.
Right. And capture that time. I connect with that time. And so then she might say, okay, great. You have that. And I say, yeah, I do. And she'll probably notice that there's a change in energy because I'm connected to it. And it's like, yeah, it's like, I was a badass. Yeah, I am a badass. That's, and already the movement starts to happen. And so then she might say, okay, so what's the situation? And I'll retell it.
Yeah.
And she might say, okay, well, what are the behaviors of whether we're the fly on the wall or we're the ones in conversation or in life with you in that dynamic that you described? What are the behaviors that we see Demore doing? And, invariably when working with a leader, this wasn't the case because I'm a coach, so there's almost a shorthand, but it might be like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, well, what do we see you doing? Just tangibly, objectively. We see you doing X, we see you do Y, we see you do Z,
Right.
And so we have, or I would have the opportunity to say like, well, these are the behaviors that are present, that are apparent, that are palpable, that are compelling when I am firing at a 9.
Yeah.
Okay, great. How committed are you to formalizing which of those behaviors you're going to do and by when moving forward out of this coaching session? So that's the weight on the bar, because then it's like, makes it more tangible, makes it more specific, makes it more measurable. And so then it's actually, in a very literal way, spelling out, well, in this instance, what are the behaviors? We call it the way of being. What's the way of being that I'm committed to? So moving it from the aspirational and the ethereal to like the tangible and the actionable. And it's like, well, I'm committed to showing up with, let's say, greater integrity.
Right.
And when we talk about integrity, we define that as doing what you say you're going to do by when you say you're going to do it.
Interesting.
So if that's me at a 9, then it's like, okay, going into this situation or going into this next meeting Demore, Rosie might say like, well, what are you committed to from an integrity standpoint? And then I would articulate that to her.
Right.
We would make note of it and we'd work down the list. And so invariably when we are individually or as a group operating at a high water line of integrity, that means not only individually, but as a group, we're doing what we're going to do by when we say we're going to do it. Team is unstoppable. They will accomplish whatever it is that they all collectively set their mind to, right, so long as they are in integrity. And so my life in integrity, where I think you said like a 3-month timeline, would look like and would be experienced by Rosie and by others as Demore actually stepping up,
right,
moving his 4 to a 9, because those behaviors are being executed and actioned in a way that is commensurate with my integrity, doing what I say I'm going to do by when I say I'm going to do it, each and every item. And so that's vulnerability, that's accountability. And notice it's not her keeping me accountable, because that's
right,
not what coaching is either.
Right.
It's about me keeping myself accountable to what I'm committed to in light of what I say my vision is.
Amazing. Well, this might have been a 10.
Might have been a 10.
Yeah,
okay.
This was definitely, the whole pod was a 9. I feel like the last part was a 10 because you dropped a lot of really important messages for me here today. I'm really still loving that your team's definition of the term vision, because it's just so grounded. But I think, for me, the closing note is about keeping ourselves accountable. And I'm hoping for people that listen to this or watch this, if that's an area where they're not comfortable or they haven't gotten there, that they'll take something from this. And who knows what they do with that, but I know what I'm going to do with it, which is thank you for being here. And thank you for being part of my life. And thank you for sharing very vulnerably yourself, because I think it's pretty hard to just talk to a bunch of strangers and tell them that a colleague said you were a 4. Like, I did not count on that today.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Grateful for your friendship. Grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
This is before Barbara Walters, me, signs off. I'd love for you to share where's the best place for folks to find you, easiest access point, because I'm sure somebody besides me wants to have salad with you.
The best place to find me would be, sending me an email.
Okay.
Demore Barnes at novus.global. You could reach out to me by way of LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
Those are really great platforms, or even just directly by way of Novus Global.
Yeah. So what's the email address again?
Demore Barnes.
Yep.
At novus.
Yeah.
.global.
.global. I love that. So it's not a .com, it's a .global.
.global.
I love how you took the name. So Demore Barnes at novus.global. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon. This is MH3 signing off.